Hey people, how's it going? Got something interesting, or hopefully be interesting. Might be boring for some people here. So, question that was raised by one of the one-to-one clients we're helping at the moment is such a smart one, quite frankly. How is someone able to re-loop infinitely versus those that can't? Right? Give you an example. Let's say, for example, you're in a sales conversation, right, looking for a commitment, and the person is just not going forward, right? And how are some people in that position able to then get that person to go forward, right, by the consistent requesting that reframes or deframe them reframes, right, into progressive action, helping them make the best decision for them, whereas some people just keep getting stuck over and over again. Doesn't matter how many times it happens. And what's really interesting is this, because you should all know what to do. Okay. Anyone that's classed as a sales professional these days, they've likely heard training on this over and over and over again. They've heard the formula, they've heard the word tracks, they've heard the frames, and yet, for some reason, they keep running into the same issue over and over and over again. Okay. I'm going to dispel some mystery around this. Now, this is going to be an interesting concept for some people. But what allows you to be able to take someone forward at that state, okay, is this. When they say something to you that doesn't allow you to go forward and they just don't want to make a decision based on like the primary fear objections, mainly fear, right? But if they just don't want to go forward, what you need to do is this. You need to feel that that person is stupid. You don't want to say it. That's very different. But this is what we teach our clients, one-to-one clients and the teams of training up. It's called TIS. That is stupid. You got to feel that that person is an idiot. And just to be real with you, those that are able, top performers, people that can consistently get put into that position over and over again, and majority of the time, if not all the time, is able to take someone forward to making a commitment, right? What they're doing is they're treating that person as an idiot, not because they actually are, but because that person is about to make a decision in that moment that doesn't actually help them. It causes them to regress and to repeat the issues. And keep in mind, people, this is someone that's raised their hand and has said, hey, I need help. I need help in the B2B space, the B2C. I need help with my solar panel. I need help with my health, physical training, sales training, right? I need help. I consistently am in this pattern where I'm in a backlog of losing sales, losing deals over and over and over again, but I can't seem to get out of it. I need your help. Okay, then, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We can actually do this for you. These are the terms. Where would you like to go from here? No, I don't really want to. Thank you so much, but I appreciate you. I'm going to consider some other options. No, 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 no. That person is facing the same repeating pattern, and it is your job to stop it. Now, a lot of people don't take them to that level. Okay. The reason why is this. If you think about, and that's what I refer to the students and the clients over and over again, the DISC system, right? Most people are on the people orientation of a DISC profile, which is conscientious and influencer. Now, because they're people orientated, what happens is that they consistently try and do the best thing for them whilst listening to their EQ, right? Their emotional intelligence. And most people don't want to cause a fuss. They just don't. Like they want to be efficient, they want to be effective. It's also the same reason why people don't ask a lot of questions all the time. If you want to learn about that, check out another video training I did in terms of why you're not asking enough questions. Might illuminate some things. But at the end of the day, they just if you're a professional, you don't want to be an arsehole. You don't want to be an idiot, right? But you also don't want to be the arse on the call. So you just kind of like let them stay in that fearful place. But this is the thing. The reason why people aren't reaffirming to make a decision there and then is because they're listening to your EQ, your emotional intelligence. And right now it's saying, I care about you. But the greatest care you can actually give to someone right there and then is to feel in your gut, mate, that is stupid. You got to make a change here. If you don't do that, they're just going to repeat the same thing. Now, the question becomes, why does it happen? Again, you're doing it because you're trying to be kind to this person, but kind and decent is not what they need. If kind and decent was enough, they would have got out of this hole. They would have got out of debt. They wouldn't be losing all their deals. They wouldn't be about to lose their home. They wouldn't be about to lose their marriage. They wouldn't be allowed to do all this stuff. Now, what's really, really interesting, okay, is the reason of why this works. Okay, when someone raises this situation, you have got to feel that that is stupid. Again, you don't say that, you feel that, because if you are someone who is more towards the people orientation of a disc profiling system, conscientious or influencer, right? And again, you don't have to be just those two. You could be a strong I and a small d. You could be a D and an I. You could be a C and an S, C and a D. As conflictive as that might be, quite frankly, but as long as you have some kind of empathy, and those that don't have empathy, you're sociopathic, right? So own up to that if you want to. But the point is this: you are broadcasting that care and that empathy, and they're following you. But when, and this is the cool thing, right? When you have a strong EQ, what it allows you to do is to broadcast a different emotional state that gets someone to make a decision. It is your blessing and it is your curse. And if you're choosing not to use it as an emotional state to get them to make a decision, it is your curse. People, how about we turn this into your blessing now? Now, the next time someone gives you an objection, and you've already kind of taken them to the bedrock of concept, which is to say, you're asking questions, you keep looping them in, you're clarifying, and they're just saying, I just don't want to go. You say, well, what's behind that? Oh, I'm scared. Okay, great. If they give you any other objection, by the way, and there's other trainings around this, okay? Reach out if you want to hear something about that. But all objections ultimately are either fear or logistical. When I say logistical, I mean they literally don't have the dollar. Can't help those people. You can do if you want, but they just can't go forward. All objections ultimately turn into fear. So when we ask them that question, what's behind that? They then say, I'm scared. Okay? Now, because you are, again, a good broadcaster of EQ, what you need to do so that you help them make their best decision there and then is you've got to make them feel that that is stupid. Because it is. If you just think about it for a second, them continuing to repeat that mistake, does that help them? No. So you must feel right there and then that is stupid. Now, you're not going to call these people stupid, as I say, right? But you have to. It should be very obvious to anyone in that position. If I allow you to keep making that mistake, it is on me, first of all, but it doesn't help you, right? And again, you've all heard this training before, right? I am not alone in telling you this. There's so many trainers. It's a saturated space right now. And either those trainers can actually teach you the correct thinking conceptually why that happens, or they just kind of say, monkey see, monkey do, right? I can get out of that, so you just repeat what I'm saying. But unless you conceptually understand why that's happening, it doesn't help you, right? Anyone that's been through more than two trainers knows exactly what I'm talking about. Just copying someone doesn't actually allow you to do it. So I'm going to tell you why this works, okay? When someone is in an impasse, okay, and they don't want to go forward, you have got to feel in that moment that is stupid. Now, the reason why that is important is because of multiple studies that have been behind that. Here's the thing. Many people believe that this up here is where you live. It is not true. We are a sentient race, but that does not mean that we are existing in terms of identity there. Interesting studies have come out. People must have seen it, all right, over and over again. There is multiple neuroscientists out there that have basically been able to show with proof, okay, that emotion comes before decision. All right. If you want to check any of these, there's so many papers out there. There's now it's becoming a big thing in the psychotherapy space. But check out Libet and Damasio. Right. Both these people have been able to show that before we make a conscious decision, our emotional state actually dictates that. How crazy is that? Okay. Think about that for a second. You choosing to move your hand. Before that choice, your body, your muscle memory is broadcasting the emotion to want to do that. Okay. It's like gut instinct in terms of you're hungry. Think about it for a second. If you hear your stomach growling, you then think you're hungry, right? It's not the other way around. You don't think, I'm hungry, then your stomach growls. Same thing here, okay? So for you to actually then be able to, again, infinitely loop this person into a place of getting out of that fearful decision, because you know right there and then that if you allow them to go forward based on fear, they'll never change. Right? So you've got to broadcast the emotion that that is stupid. Now, don't be scared to broadcast that. All right? Again, your decisions that you make, emotion comes first, then conscious decision. All you have to do is to feel that that is stupid and your mind takes care of the rest. An example, I was doing this with a one-to-one client the other day. They got so much value out of it. They're getting such good results straight away. Okay? And so many of the people, some of the trainers talk about tone, emphasis, all these kind of things, right? But at the end of the day, right? Tone is not enough. Just sounding like you care doesn't mean enough. It's got to come from the diaphragm. It's got to come down here. One of the best trainings I ever had from a guy who basically taught me that when you're getting someone to go into deeper levels of pain and you're genuinely questioning why that's important, right? And how that's affecting them, you got to feel disgusted, right? Like when someone says to me, Llewellyn, like it's really, really important, because it's just been affecting me and my family. I go into a place of disgust because that's the most authentic emotion in terms of me questioning, like why that's important. Just for me personally, everyone's different. Right. And if you want to go through exercise in terms of finding the right emotional states that work for you, because everyone is different depending on your disprofiling system, again, let me know. More than happy to go through that. But when I get into disgust, I go, well, hold on a second. When you say it's important for your family, how do you mean? That means a lot of different things to different people. Like, how has that been affecting you? And why is this important to you now? You've got to go into emotional state. Emotional state first, because again, that dictates your decisions. Right? There is science papers on this now. So when someone says to you, I know I need to do this, but I just can't. You got to go into a state of that's stupid. Because when I do it, right, when I train into the clients and they go into that is stupid, they go, okay, well, hold on a second, right? If you continue though to allow your decisions to be made from that, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to continue to get worse and worse. Okay. And is that a decision that you really want to leave for yourself and for that to affect your children and your wife and your husband and your doggies, your little dogs? Is that something you're going to allow to happen? Well, no, but okay. So where do you want to go from here? Because I'm more than happy to discuss with how we're helping people. But if you continue to put yourself in that space, well tell me, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, do you generally feel that consistently putting yourself in a place like this is going to help you in the long run? No. Okay, and let's pretend for a second that you're actually able to take control of the situation. What happens then? Well, I get my best life. Da, 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 right? But again, emotional state first. This is the difference between a high performer who is able to infinitely loop a situation versus someone like he's getting stuck in the context, okay? The reason is because they're letting their emotions control that. Top performers, even if they seem like a glacier, like an ice glacier, I'm telling you, there is a volcano of emotion there, like light through a window. But what they're doing is they're focusing it, they're harnessing it. People, I hope you had a lot of fun there. I mean, I highly recommend that you look into the science of this, all right? When your body goes into a state like this and you're controlling the emotional states, again, Libet really goes into amazing, fascinating papers on this. When we're controlling what's called progressive modulation, right, which is literally the neuroscience, the NTs, the neurotransmitters. You're going through your dopamine, your serotonin, which affects like attention, right? There's all these things that happen. And if you're consistently going through like video after video and training after training and you're still not getting it, you have to start realizing that just because you're finding a trainer that can tell you that it works, they're doing it from a perspective that it works for them, just to be real. Time to really start asking a question, right? Just because I know you can do it doesn't necessarily mean that you can teach me how to do it. Can you tell me about the chemistry? Can you tell me the emotion? Right? Here's another big thing that I want people to think about. And I tell you who talks about this really well is Alex Hormozi. He did like a big B2B kind of conference where he's helping out businesses. One person, I forget the exact video, but one person was talking about the fact that I run a team of sort of people. I'm a savage. I can crush it. But the people that I've hired, right, who are savages themselves, they're not very good at leading teams. And I want to kind of like make it an automated revenue control, right? Hormozi called out correctly right there and then. He says, let a killer kill, right? The people that become amazing leaders, amazing trainers, they're not the people that started on, if you imagine a scale of 1 to 10 of skill, right? The people that start at 7, 8, or 9, right? High, okay? Naturally, because they're born that way. They were like selling when they came out of the mother, right? Those people who are just very good because they're likely in a disprofiling system again. They're very task-oriented, they're fast-paced, they sound confident, likely a strong D, right? Those people who start at an 8 or a 9, they can't actually explain to someone who starts at a 3 to 4 how to get there, right? It's like a bird trying to teach a fish. It's different atmospheres, people. It's different muscle memories, okay? Hormozi calls out really well the people that started like a 2 or a 3 and worked their way up to a 7, even like an 8, right? Those people are better positioned to actually explain to someone who's looking to get sales training how to do it because they went through the process. Really important, people. Get into the study, get into the passion, get into the sacrifice of knowing there's no quick fix. Just because you find someone, right, who does like so much commission straight away and they crushed it over and over again. Just because they can do it doesn't mean you can do it. Because here's the thing, and this is something that's really important. Take the sales training you're thinking about right now, okay? Besides me, right? Let's say it's me, right? Actually, use me for this example. I don't care, right? Think about them for a second. Think about the training, right? You got to recognize something. You will never be able to sell like them. Never, ever. But here's the thing. They will never be able to sell like you either. All right? Your journey is yours, right? We all come from different experiences, maternal and paternal influences, economical, culture. Like you're a Venn diagram of all these different things. And to presume, or for a trainer to assume that you can just walk into the jello mold of them, right? That is so wrong on so many levels. Know where you are in terms of your personality type. Know your strength, because once you know your strength, you know your weakness. And don't just assume that you can copy someone, because the best version of you that maximizes your revenue and leads other people and builds your businesses and all these things, it's not in the shadow of someone else. Go crush it. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.